Recording in progress. All right, very good. So, dear devotees, the family of devotees, Vrindavaneshri Didi, Kum Didi, Leelamoy Prabhu, Dana, Sevarupa Devirasi, and Lynn just joining us too. Lynn and Maheshwari Devirasi. So here we are with a wonderful family of devotees on Zoom and not on Facebook today so far, perhaps. On Facebook, okay, Facebook has its own nature. It may wake up in a moment. But when I can, always happy to be able to see in both places who is with us. Krishna, 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 Krishna. All right, dear ones. So Mathura Basini did it, Dandavat, welcome. I can only see anyone on Facebook when they send a little message, so we appreciate that very much. Dear devotees, let us begin with auspiciousness. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalang Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitang Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Sahavadutam Parijana Sahitan Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitangscha Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Anmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namo Maha Viranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvijay Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Getting some warmth for my feet. Please excuse me. It's early in the morning, and I warmed up some of yesterday's ginger and lemon, what they would call in one society we were in previously, a brahmastra that they made last night. You know what is a brahmastra, Kumkumdiri, I expect.
Maharaj, we used to take that for coming down with a bad cold or the flu or something. I hope that's not your situation.
I hope so too, but it's not. It's cold, you can say. Whatever the temperature is now, it is cold. Okay, Govinda and Priyanana Devirasi, fresh from, still alive after learning to drive a stick shift car yesterday, made in the 1945 Russian era stick shift car, something like that. So good to see you're still with us, Priyanana. She sent a note saying learning to drive this car is very conducive to Krishna consciousness. All right, dear ones, Parvanand Prabhu with us also, and I believe he's with us from the forest or the mountain. This is the prediction he had last time. So we hope he'll be able to give a few words too. And Gangalila Didi joined us also just now. Jagamahini also joined us on the Facebook, and we appreciate very much the presence of you all, our obeisances to you all, and we are receiving your obeisances. And happy clapping from Ganga Leela. She's very happy too. All right, so dear devotees, we are continuing. Life goes on, and life really does go on, whether we are in birth or in death. And this is one of the very first teachings of Krishna to Arjuna, but still one of those teachings which, for us ourselves, we find it still often difficult to see. No, I'm always going to be alive. Why worry? Why worry about this or that, or all these perceived threats in the world? And just today, in fact, in my short time, I've been up for a little while. Just today, then was considering about this point that in Cheto Dapanang Majanang Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam, that in this first verse of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Shikshastakam, he says that the chanting of the holy name removes the greatest fear. The fear, and the greatest fear, is of birth and death. This is the animal instinct. When there's a forest fire, when there's any emergency, animal instinct. I mean, that's not derogatory, it is a statement. Animals, everything, they want to get away from that danger to preserve oneself. But the mundane preserving oneself side, then really the holy name of the Lord, even at the beginning, we can see, yes, it puts a completely different perspective on the world around us. And our fear may come that we not lose our body life, but that we lose our spiritual life, that we lose our direction in our journey that's been given to us as our journey home. So that kind of maintenance of life is quite a different category than fearing for the body and fearing for this and that. And let's face it, the question, how will I die? I mean, to each of us, we think, oh no, how will I die? But we are going to die, but we don't have to fear about that because it's in Krishna's hands. And we've had also some recent family circumstances where family members have died, and those left behind saying, well, they've actually passed away in a very sweet way. So we don't know how we'll pass away, but the fear of the material body dying is to be left aside. And really, when we can understand that we've been through birth and death again and again, but this time we're on the track of our spiritual journey, going home, back to God, back to home. And I'm just looking if I could in the chat box. Priyanana sent a reaction to the driving comments and the learning to drive being conducive for Krishna consciousness. And Paramananda Dandavas left the forest and came to the civilized world. Hare Krishna. We know what it's like to be in remote areas for some time, sometimes some days for some time, and then coming to the civilized world and thinking that the forest may be a better place to be. But oh mind, we mustn't think we can go to the forest to remember Krishna alone. If we go to the forest, we should go with 108 devotees and mridangas and kartals, do something good. And Maheshwari Didi, Maheshwari Didi raised her hand.
Okay. Yes, I did. Just along what you were talking about, my grandmother, who was devout Catholic, prayed every day of her life for a peaceful death. And at 99, she got up for breakfast one day, said she didn't feel well, went and laid down and passed away. It was very sweet, very peaceful. But that really always stuck with me, that, she really made that her daily prayer.
Jai. And the Lord can hear our prayers. Sometimes people say, you must be careful what you wish. But the Lord can hear everything and see everything within us that we also can't see. We don't even know they're there. And we think, how can that be possible? I don't know they're there. How can the Lord know? But the Lord is the Paramatma. And in the Navadip Dham Mahatmya, there is that case, I think it's of Jayadev and his wife, where Mahaprabhu came to him in a dream, but in reality, in a previous life, and revealed the glories of Navadip Dham and said, but now I am not going to be present here. I'll be coming, later on. So you come and be here when I'm here at that time. But for now, go to Jagannath Puri. And he said, oh, but how can I leave Navadip, this beautiful place that you've revealed that is here? How can I leave now from Navadip and go elsewhere? And then Mahaprabhu said to him, in the previous life, you had a desire to go to Jagannath Puri. So now you need to fulfill that desire. After that, you will take your birth here in Navadip and we'll meet again. And this way he went. But from one incident, we get lots of lessons. And one lesson is that, what we wish for, we better be careful because, the Lord is there in the heart. But to wish for a peaceful passing away sounds like a good idea. But at the same time, the great devotees, basically they're saying, treat me as you wish, just don't let me ever forget you. Something like this. But the incident of your grandmother does remind me of another case, but a devotee who came home from work, husband and wife. The husband came home from work, and he simply came back, and his wife was cooking, and he said, oh, this evening I won't take any meal. I don't feel so well. And he went to the bathroom, then lay down, and passed away. That same evening, they just came home, and then she's going to see him for, how are you? Oh, he was fine, left his body. Hare Krishna. Okay, anyway, let's get on to other topics. But the bright side of all this is we mustn't be fearful for anything. And the greatest fear is the fear of death, what to speak, the fear of someone stealing your car because you remember you left the doors unlocked, etc., of the car. Hare Krishna, all sorts of things can happen in this world. So, Kumkum Didi, can we come to you first? I know you have a contribution. Actually, I would like to think we all have a contribution because we've all been reading, we've all been hearing, and we've all been living life. And so everyone's got a different experience. And hopefully, like learning to drive the car, we can see that every situation is a good situation to remember Krishna.
Yes, my Dandabat Maharaj to you and all of the devotees. And this, what you're speaking reminds me of a comparison. Srila Prabhupada would always say that in the same way that a thief or criminal has a fear of policemen, when they see them, they become very fearful because they know how guilty they are. And so the point is that by our practicing, like you're saying, Chaitodarpana Marjanam, then we learn to not to see that we don't have anything to be tried for and found guilty. Perhaps we still have that in us, but above that, whatever we may have coming to us in justice is the Lord's mercy, and so we can proceed that way. I was reading in the 4 essential verses of Bhagavad Gita this week, chapter 10, and it reminded me of, of course, the purport is very extensive on these verses that Srila Guru Maharaj gives. So excuse me for cutting it down so much, but one particular point really made me think of back to basics very much. although he starts, well, let's see, the verse is Aham sarvasva prabhavo mata sarva pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. That's the 8th verse. And then Srila Guru Maharaj is speaking about the devotee will come to me to worship me, and always under the direction of my best worshiper, my finest potency and representation, Radharani or Gurudev. But crossing her, the highest and most desirable form of service to me, is not possible. Radha Dasyam, the servitorship of Srimati Radharani, is indicated here. Only those who are blessed with divine intelligence will be able to appreciate this, and not persons with self-acquired intelligence from this Mayika quarter, the world of misconception. In this verse, the word Buddha refers to Sumedasha, as described in the Srimad Bhagavatam 11:5-32, or persons of fine theistic intelligence arising from direct connection with the transcendental plane. The inner guidance and direction they receive is the outcome of Sukriti, divine merit acquired by the association of pure devotees. So this is something that I like to think of again and again. It's so very encouraging. We just keep, we want to keep along with this association. And naturally, everything will come to us. All the misgivings will go. Faith will become steadfast just by seeing this association. This will conquer the fear of death, all fear.
And how will we associate with the pure devotees?
We aspire to serve them, understanding that they understand much better than we do what is best for ourselves, and so we give it a try, and we find out very quickly that that hunch is correct. That we only gain by trying to do this, and that other things which we may have thought were obstacles will melt away. So this association, trying to do service, not just saying we want the association, saying we want to serve, but actually trying to find a substantial service that matters by inquiring and finding out what is it that matters, what they would like for us to do. This connection is very real.
Excuse me.
I was just going to say this connection is very real. It's not something we just hear, but we experience it.
And we experience it. Okay, this was actually what I was just going to add on to the end. And it is a feeling matter. And when we serve, sometimes I don't know what like feeling comes with the word of serving. But when we try to help and give assistance, make life a little easier for any devotees, for all devotees, then there's a certain like sweet taste, and it may not be the exact taste that you're expecting a result, and we're doing it so we get a result. But just it's a natural thing to do for the living entity, to help others. We see this tendency in the world to help others. But to help the Vaishnavas in what they are doing, to help the Vaishnavas overcome difficulties, just to give directions, get them on the right bus and not the wrong bus, and all these things, they have a certain subtle taste which comes back when, if we do the same thing with regular people, okay, there's something there, you're helping them, but it doesn't have that the substance, the subtle substance within. So serving also all devotees, but that is service to the pure devotees, because they want us to give encouragement to everyone, to help each other out. And there was, and maybe Paramananda knows which one, but we don't have to name names, in the sense of, there's one of Srila Guru Maharaj's godbrothers. So it's not our judging matter that, oh, we are going to put this label on, certain of those devotees, because they did so much for the spreading of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's mission. But there was one godbrother of Guru Maharaj, and he fell away from Krishna consciousness. He went from the temple life to another kind of life. And Guru Maharaj explained that he went away because he disrespected the junior devotees. He didn't give them nourishment. He treated them roughly, the new people who came. So that is also an interesting observation, again, for our education, not for pointing something out in somebody else, but in this case to point out somebody who's exalted and then in due course of time has lost the plot, maybe we would say, in the Western world, and due to offenses to the newcomer devotees who are coming in. So if we take the inverse of that, then to give affection and to give encouragement to everyone, to help everyone. So helping any devotee of any character, that is also within that service to the pure devotees, because that's what they want from us. It's what Krishna wants from us. After all, Guru Maharaj knows handwritten directions, but not just, oh, we've got this handwritten direction, this is all he left behind. It is not that. He left behind a whole life of 24 hours a day, 8 days a week with us, with the devotees. But there he says, to increase the faith in others, in Mahaprabhu and our line. So in Guru and Mahaprabhu, I think he said there, perhaps in that handwritten note. But this is our life, to give assistance to others wherever they may be. And it may be apparently mundane assistance. But if you don't tell them how to get to the airport, then it's definitely going to be resistance. So it's one form of service to give mundane directions of how to go somewhere or how to do simple things. We're all using computers. I remember my first days using a computer. Really, I was a grown up. I went to school. I was, quite good at maths and physics and everything else, but using a computer is like starting a foreign language. We forget even to move the mouse. Really, I sometimes, I remember, we take it for granted and somebody comes. We can help them if it's for service. Hare Krishna, but yes, Didi, the devotees association. Service and service to the pure devotees, which means service to all the devotees in remembrance of that. Didi. And when you started speaking, I thought you were going to mention about your husband, because he's one of the few I've been with when they passed away, when they left their body. And that was Rishabh Dev, the husband of Kumkum, who came to Navadip, and with Guru Dev's permission, everything with his permission. I mean, he did everything very perfectly. He doesn't just get on a flight, come to Navadip and say, oh, I'm going to pass away here. And he brought his daughter, your daughter, Mandakini Devi Dasi, so that he wasn't a burden on the mat. And then Mandakini fully trained medical person, chiropractic maybe, but she's fully trained. And so her discussions with the doctors, by the way, didn't make the slightest sense to me, because they're all talking in like doctor-esque language, which is another version of English. But they're talking about, really, she's sitting there and they're having a conversation with each other, which was completely out of my league, but it was an indication that they're on the same page. They're all in that doctor team. And so he brought her, and she came in service to him, so that as not to make any disturbance to the mat. And then presently, so many things, again, 25 hours a day, 8 days a week, where they're happily and seeing the pastimes unravel, and how peacefully he left the world. And We know from our doctor friends, of which we do have doctors and nurses and people, that's not the written rule for the regular world at all.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. And I got a big thumbs up from here. Okay, Jaini Tai. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. All right, Paramananda Prabhu, please, you're back in civilization, electricity, and all these things. A contribution on this, well, our subject has been a little consistent, I suppose. But as you like to contribute, something happy for us all.
Happy.
Happy is
all,
good.
that's all reminded me a happy story from Mahabharata, perhaps, when Yudhishthir Maharaj is answering the questions of Yamaraj. And one of them, what is the most amazing thing in the world? And he's describing it. It's a beautiful description. I don't want to distort it by my imperfect repetition of it. But in short, he said that even though we know that everyone, including us, will die one day, still we live like immortals. We don't really care about it. That's the miracle of this world. And who is behind that miracle is the Lord's own energy. Daivi he shagunamaya mama maya. He's saying, that's my energy, that's my maya. And what is the function of that energy? Is to keep everyone in complete illusion, complete denial, and complete unawareness of that is going to happen to me. It hits us once in a while, the momentum mori. Sometimes we experience it. Someone drops dead. You walk in the forest, for example. I saw a dead deer. You see bones here and there. Lots of dead things around us. And that particular moment, just for a split of a second, in my case, it kind of rings the bell. Wow, that can happen to me. I can just fall down, hit my head on the rock. Anything can happen. And then my body will be left there. And then the boars and the jackals and the foxes and the raccoons will feast on it. Really, it's a reality. You're facing this reality. But somehow it passes really quick. And then again, you feel very much immortal. And that's how we live in this life. I mean, in this world, the world of illusion. So that's the main illusion that covers it. And it's completely unnatural. For why we're resisting the death, fearing the death, not wanting the death to come, feel it's very unnatural, want to live forever, because that is unnatural. We are the soul, eternal soul, and Krishna addresses that point in Bhagavad Gita, the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where he is saying that nothing can destroy us, real us. But again, we read the chapter, it's clearly stated. The next moment, literally the next moment, you go and make some tea for yourself and completely forgot about it. Again, you feel immortal till someone else reminds you about it, or environment reminds us about it. And yes, I mean, at some point we will have to face it, but really, the death itself, there's nothing we can do about it. There's nothing we can do about where we're going to go next, what will be our next destination. But what we can do something about it is how we're living this life and how we're utilizing our wonderful fortune that we received here. That we can do something about, for sure. And again, illusion is very strong. So to stay on the track, to fix your mind, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Uddharayat atmanatmanam, natmanam avasadaya, that verse from Bhagavad Gita, where he's saying that your mind can be your worst enemy. And in the same time, if properly trained, it can be your best friend. So use your mind for your advancement. And then he gives all the instruction how to do that. And at some point, you can read another verse where he's saying it's absolutely impossible to control your mind. It's like to control mad horses while you are on a chariot. And you are not riding the chariot, you're a passenger there. Then how to do it? By the grace. And I stumbled, Maharaj, since Kumkumdiji always reads from Guru Maharaj, from Prabhupada, so I thought it's an excuse for me to read something too, and not just talk about all sorts of nonsense things. Here's the word of the sadhu, and it's from actual book, by the way, not the digital version of it, but a very nice paper version. And you can see it's almost unused. Why? Not because we're not reading, it's because we're reading the electronic version of this. Anyhow, it's nice to have a book in the hand, and it's The Golden Volcano of Divine Love, as you all recognized, by Srila Bhakti-Rakha Sridhar Goswami Maharaj. And the chapter is Nectar of the Nectarine. We may consider ourselves fortunate that we have come to the verge of this most generous and useful thought, that we have come close enough to touch it, to accept it, and float ourselves in its waves according to our capacity. After passing through so many conceptions and the charm of different prospects, and I really like this part, the charm of different prospects. That's what presents, that illusion presents us with so many different ideas. And all illusion, and they're all about how are you going to be in control of everything? How can you enjoy alone? How you can be just like him? That's all it's all about. So, and the charm of different prospects, we have left them all behind, and have come to the shore of the ocean of Nama Sankirtan. Now we may throw our bodies in this ocean and begin to swim in the waves of Nama Sankirtan, the nectar of the nectarine, by the grace of our Guru and the mercy of the Vaishnavas. And here Guru Maharaj stresses this point. Really, this is what it's all about. It is their property, and we are their slaves. We have such audacity to throw our body into this ocean of Nam Sankirtan and swim in that nectarine ocean. So that's accepted. I really liked. It's their property, it's their grace, and without them, really, we have no prospect. Well, we do have prospects, but they're all full of illusion. They will lead us to nowhere. Another dead experience, another birth experience, another dead experience, another birth experience, just horrible repetition. And in between, suffering, and what we call happiness, which is temporary absence of suffering. That's how you designate the happiness actually in this world. When you're not suffering just for a little bit, you feel happy. So that is the situation. And I like what Maharaj said about, bring the example. By the way, I don't know the name of that devotee, Maharaj. Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur's disciple.
Yes, not necessary.
But yeah, it's not necessary, of course. But Srila Gurudev also stressed that point. And how should we see so-called, and really it's a so-called newcomer. It's so relative. It's the whole relativity of new coming. I mean, how do we know where is he? What is his previous situation? What is his realizations? What he accumulated in the previous lives? What is his position in relation to Krishna? What is his position in relation to Guru Varga? We have no clue, absolutely no clue about it. And it's super difficult to recognize if he a Vaishnava or not. It's difficult to recognize, is he a saintly person or not? Because real saints, they hide it, they're not making a show out of it. I mean, you open any of our resources right now, a Facebook, an Instagram, a TikTok, you will see so many so-called saints. They're fully advertising themselves as such. And that's the first sign that they're exactly the opposite. But the real saint is very difficult to recognize. They're hidden. Only another person of such level can see inside that person. So we have to be super careful, especially about the newcomers. And sometimes, actually, for me personally, newcomers, they're source of inspiration. Because at some point, you're getting too familiar with your life in connection with devotion, with connection with Krishna consciousness. And you think, oh, maybe you're just some crazy guy who somehow started a long time ago, a relatively long time ago, was following this whole line, whole idea. And there's no one who is interested in that. But then you see a new person who is like 18, 15, 16, 20, and they're fully into it, fully following it and understanding and beautifully trying to present it and showing the realization. Then you're astonished. And then you're getting so much inspiration from that. So of course, that's an important point. If someone is coming to us, and we have this problem actually, mistreating the devotees. Again, Guru Maharaj also points that the familiarity breeds contempt. So too much familiarity. We already have devotees who already came, and we have this tendency to mistreat them. To looking on the, we're always trying to criticize others. So that thing, and also that as a result, we're starting to mistreating them. And then we're saying, oh, we're a mission, we're missionaries, we're in the Nam Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We're looking for more. You please come to us. This whole idea. We're a preaching group. We want other people to join. But when they join, somehow after a while, the tendency appeared that we, not paying enough, let's just say not paying enough attention, not giving enough nourishment to those who already came. So that is a good point to remember about the newcomers and about those who already came, already with us. So keep the family tight, nourished and happy. And that will automatically attract a newcomer. That's all I have to say, Mara.
And we hope that's not a universal statement, that when devotees come, then we become familiar and abusive. We really
not
try
universal.
not to do that, my goodness, but we
Some
understand the material tendency is familiarity breeds contempt, as pointed out by Guru Maharaj, yes. It can happen rather than it always happens. I would like to add as a purport at the bottom. Hare Krishna. We need to guard ourselves from it. Yes, Paramananda. And a good caution. Everywhere we've got a promise, like a bright promise, but everywhere we've got a caution. And we need to take heed of these cautions. When we drive a car, then we've got a bright promise of where the car can take us, what we can do. But we have some caution how to drive that car. So we have our life, and we mustn't crash our life and damage our life. We must follow those cautions and know that the car is taking us to a special place. And that tendency for I won't die part, Guru Maharaj points out that this is the fundamental necessity of us all. So we should, with our good opportunity in this life, search out that plane where we don't die and try to solve the big problem. The big problem is I'm in the wrong place. So we're, instead of trying to, as we're listening in the morning, for a couple of mornings, we've been listening to Srila Guru Maharaj saying about blowing on an abscess just to remove that scorching heat of an abscess, just blow on it. Or do you remove the abscess? So we are in this world like blowing on an abscess to try to remove the pains of this world, instead of taking it out at the root. And again, we've got this taking it out at the root department, where in the Upadeshamritam, which is so much parallel to the, intertwined with the Shikshastakam of Mahaprabhu, and the Upadeshamritam, which is Mahaprabhu's instructions coming through his devotees, topmost devotee, Rupa Goswami. And Rupa Goswami is saying that miracle of the holy name, then is going to come and transform us, and that the disease will be uprooted. It's the medicine for the disease, but that medicine will uproot the disease, not just cover over the symptoms and then it'll rage up again. It'll cover that over. Hare Krishna. So, practice. Our life is for practice and for engaging in our devotional life. And when we can see that, yes, our natural tendency is we do want to live forever, then let's take out the root of our problem and chant the holy name with the devotees, in service to the devotees, and come to our destination. And it is rare. And that doesn't mean that we become proud that we've come in touch with such, not only a teaching, but many people, there's 500 million books of ISKCON have been distributed several years ago in the time of Srila Gurudev. Then in a Back to Godhead magazine, which we got at the temple in Navadip, then there was this, we're looking through and there was this news. And this is a long time ago. So there's a lot of literature out there, and every book has got some indication, some message, which if you take that message, your life will become perfect. It'll get you on the track in the right direction. So it's not only coming across the directives, but it's actually putting them into practice, to recognize and then to put into practice. And on this point of appreciating the newcomers, the very first time that Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami met Mahaprabhu, their senior post holders, the finance minister and the prime minister of the government, and it's the first time they meet, and they're coming to meet each other in Ramakeli. But it's an instant bond of disciple and master in that sense, in an instant, no question of like conversion and then starting with the ABCs. But we see that, and I mean, if we look, there are so many examples like this. And I mean, we can take it to the Vishnu Tattva level, because Nityananda's meeting with Mahaprabhu, what's Mahaprabhu going to say? Oh, here's a new devotee, teach him well or something. No, Nityananda met Mahaprabhu, and it was an instant bond of ecstasy, but it was an eternal bond of ecstasy. And when you read that meeting, my goodness, how beautiful. But that applies in so many cases. And often one of the first words we sort of learn when we're going through Chaitanya Charitamrita, because of its repetition, is alingana and prema, and all the symptoms of ecstasy which are described. But alingana, embracing. Mahaprabhu would meet somebody there, embrace would be there, and then no question of, oh, no, this other person, he joined the mission 6 months ago. He's the senior devotee. So, Hare Krishna. And in the chat box, I see some chatting in the chat box. Oh, Seva Rupa Devidasi. She's given us Cheto Dapanam Marjanam Baba Maha Dabagni Nirvapanam Shreya Karai Vichandrika Vitaranam Vidya Vadhu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vadanam Pratipadam Punamrita Shvadanam Savatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. And yes, it does roll off the tongue, but really we want it to roll in our heart all the time. The holy name of Krishna cleanses the mirror of the heart, extinguishes the fire of misery in the forest of birth and death. As the evening lotus blooms in the moon's cooling rays, the heart begins to blossom in the nectar of the name. And at last the soul awakens to its real inner treasure, a life of love with Krishna. And again tasting nectar, the soul dives and surfaces in the ever-increasing ocean of ecstatic love. All phases of the self of which we may conceive are fully satisfied and purified, and at last conquered by the all-auspicious influence of the holy name of Krishna. This we can say always and forever. And then Sevarupa Dedi sing, Dandavat, my grand transition, or my grandmother, okay, my grandmother transition, passed away at the Sri Sri Radha Nath temple in Durban, South Africa, during Mangalati after intense suffering from cancer. Hare Krishna, my mum, Tunga Vidididi, placed a tulsi leaf on her tongue and was chanting for her, Jai. And that reminds me of the head pujari in the Krishna temple in Penang in Malaysia. We used to go to that temple. We did program regularly. It wasn't one of our temples, but it was a traditional, in the very center of Penang, a beautiful, sweet Krishna temple. And the head pujari got also, maybe cancer, but whatever it was, it was surgically, it may be surgically possible to extend his life, and the doctors, everybody wanted him to go for surgery. He said, no, I will accept my lot. And he passed away chanting in front of the deity in the Penang temple, seated there, and he's chanting, and then passed away. I wasn't there when he passed away, but then his son took over the temple, and his son was so kind. And anyway, everywhere, okay, how do people pass away? The brother, I think his brother, so the pujari of the temple, his brother passed away. He was a they call it linesman. He was a linesman putting up all the, maintaining the electrical supply to, people's homes. So all the time he would climb the pole, the electric pole, and connect the wires, replace wires, things like this. And one day he was doing his job, and they do all the safety things. He had the ladder, went up the pole, but the pole snapped when he was up there. And then he crashed to the ground and he was dead. Before any ambulance could come or anything, he just went down. Like Paramananda said, at any moment we can slip, fall, hit our head and leave the world. And so that morning when he got up, he wasn't thinking that this afternoon, I won't be in this world, in my body. And while we're on these topics, just maybe 3 days ago, we have here with us, he's sleeping now, is Abhinava Sundar Prabhu from Australia. And well, they're all sleeping now, so it's not, I haven't singled him out. They're all resting quietly, just the sound of gentle snores in the ashram. Okay, anyway, pass on from there. We were mentioning different things, and it came up that there was one saffron devotee, older, but in good health, Indian saffron devotee in Navadip. And he slipped in the bathroom, hit his head and died there and then in the bathroom. And then he was the one who helped to carry him downstairs and went to the burning ghat, this, that, and the other. So we were remembering this the other day. Many things happened. The older you get, more things happen. Oh, yes, interesting. We see more of life. But that's also, when we're young, we know, the youngsters think they know everything, and they are pretty smart in this age when they know lots of things. And by the way, in my age, it was TV. And I remember one boy in our class, he knew the answer to everything. And one day, I just asked him, how do you know everything? How do you know all these things? Oh, he said, from the television. But we didn't have a TV. So I thought, well, okay. Anyway, it's just kind of a different category just to like know lots of things. But today we've got all sorts of distractions on not only the television with 2 channels, which there was 2 channels of black and white TV in my young age, but there's now colorful TV with more than 2 channels, plus all your other distractions which are there. But in life, we can get experience of life, no doubt. So when we're young, we think we know everything from the TV and etc. But there is something with age which says, yeah, well, we've got some life experience, like touch of reality. Touch of reality. We may know much less than those who know all the ins and outs of everything from the internet and from the television. But we, thankfully, know the important things. So now it really is the onus is on us to do them. And life is living. So this isn't, I know our subject has been more about passing away today, but it is for living. And the most positive thing, as Guru Maharaj points out, the Gaudiya Math people, then they are the most positive, because facing reality and knowing that there is such a wonderful goal to go to. Hare Krishna. And not to fear death, we accept it. It's not death, it's only the death of the body. And so we need to be going in the right direction always. And by the way, I just got a glimpse. Did Chintamani join us and disappear? Oh, she's there. Yes, Chintamani. Yesterday she did, or in the night, because last night, I believe she did, Parikrama of Govardhan Hill, by walking with bare feet, perhaps. Are you able just to give us a little Govardhan Hill touch, Chintamani Didi?
Dandavat Maharaj. Yeah, I broke down and got the Govardhan slippers at the very end. I was like, I can't. So I got those little, I left my pair actually at Villa Govinda that I got from last time. But yes, Govardhan Parikram Ki Jai. And we're here at the Mott, happily.
Oh, green, nice and green. Beautiful.
Here, I can take you. And I brought a bunch of plants for Uma Didi. She asked if I could bring starter plants from Delhi. We've got new plum trees and flowering creepers for Gurudev's garden here. And it's quite green here. Hasn't died yet, the grass and whatnot. Good morning from Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat. Govardhan.
Jai Shri Anu Giriraj Ki Jai, the temple of Anu Giriraj Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya, actually Srila Sridhar Swami Seva Ashram Ki Jai. Mind the monkeys. Well,
they're my friends. I feed them. I bring them food. They don't mess with me.
Oh, don't be too confident.
Okay.
These monkeys, they can be your friend one moment, but be careful, Lily. Otherwise, you need to go for rabies injections and this, that, and the other. Don't be too confident in them. Jai Shila Guru. This is Shila Gurudev's Pushpa Samadhi with the nice bougainvillea covering to stop the monkeys climbing. It's got bougainvillea, it's got the thorns on it. And here's Srila Gurudev's Pushpa Samadhi. Jai Srila Gurudev Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. And are the doors open? Yes. Is the door open? No, not.
No, they are not.
Okay. No? All right. Almost seemed like we could see in. Oh, no, it's wood for sure. Yes. Jai. But there we can talk with Gurudev. We can reveal our mind to him. We can hear him. Hare Krishna. especially there. We can do this anywhere, of course, but especially there. And that the opposite us, that white arch, yes, that white arch. This is the Dayatadas Seva Kunj. Dayatadas, one name for Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And this is in honor of him, in remembrance specifically of him. And look, the main pathway. And just, can you show the main path again? So the lampposts have been removed, right? Yes. They became very useless because the monkeys wrecked them. So in a way, it's better that they're not there because it's almost impossible to maintain nicely. And then they looked funky when they were sort of so damaged by the monkeys. But looking nice and green and overlapping the pathway, so you don't get a lot of traffic cars coming up and down. And there's the front, looking from inside to out, the main gate of the temple. And a blue sky, but it's a gray blue sky. We see in the WhatsApp on my phone, my phone's over there, but I have Govardhan and Navadip on the phone, and it's showing recently very high kind of pollution, whatever it is, parts per million. But it happens. Hare Krishna. And are these doors open?
We'll find out. I got back quite late last night, so I'm just waking up to your wisdom right now, Maharaj.
Govinda. Ding. So this is the entrance gate. Looking back to Das Seva Kunj. And coming to the kitchen and the prasadam hall. And no cows. I don't see any cows. Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Oh, Pat Kirtan taking place. Padmanabha Maharaj, is it? Is he? I'll be quiet so I don't disturb.
It's Padmanabha Maharaj.
Afterwards, please extend our dandavat to him. But don't disturb. Now is the kirtan. And there you are, you see. Wherever you are, maybe in a temple, but even if you're only one person, you can do the morning program. Don't have to rely on anybody else. Look, there's an example. Going on happily. And we like to think there's more than one person sometimes, but it's a fact. In the temples, when it's not festival time, there may be quite a minimum number of devotees. Gurudev was very aware of it. Hare Krishna. And from Mauritius, the devotees are here, and we're used to seeing the pictures with 600 people, 800 people, very organized in plastic chairs, I mean, very paka. But they said, yes, but we're 4 devotees normally. It's not every day we have that, it's on festival days. And they have a roster. So, I mean, very much as in Gurudev's time, that we have a core who look after even a big temple, but then happily hundreds come for the festivals. And this is the garden, and it's all caged in to keep the monkeys out. Whereas if you're in Italy, they'll have a cage to keep the monkeys in and the people out. But there, everything is opposite in the spiritual world. They have a cage to put the people in and keep the monkeys out. Just see. Okay, so Chintamani Didi, you gave us a very brief report about your fulfilling parikrama of Govardhan Hill, but we've got a longer vision, sight of the temple there in Govardhan. So we're very grateful for that. I'm very grateful for that. And I hope that all can actually share our happiness to come there and see Govardhan through your camera, through your eye. Hare Krishna. All right, now back on planet Earth, we all need to continue our life. Okay, back on planet Earth, here we are. So I've come back to the gallery view so I can see everybody. And we're very grateful for the presence of you all, for Rajya Bihari Prabhu and for Madhava Prabhu, Jagamohini Didi, and all that we mentioned earlier on who are there on the Facebook. And here we are on the Zoom with all of who we see in front of us and all who are seeing us in the recorded version too. And we are grateful for the presence of every one of you. And Ishwaran, oh yes, Ishwarananda Prabhu, okay. Maybe driving to California. No. Yes, oh, there's a nod of the head. He's going to go to the Sokal Seva Ashram for a week of 25 hours a day, service, association, and glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Radha and Krishna. Well done, Ishwarananda Prabhu, using your holidays for a proper purpose, a good purpose. And all the way from Brazil to the USA, to South Africa, to Japan, and everywhere in between, and to Russia, of course, and to everywhere in between, with much appreciation to you all. Jai Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Rockok Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Jai. Our Sri Rupa Nuga Guru Bhaga ki Jai. Jai, all the devotees, new and old, every devotee ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha. Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha. Patitanam Pavanebhyo. Vaishnavebhyo. Namo Namaha. All of you are greatly appreciated. You are all very valuable. Keep chanting Hare Krishna. Serve the Vaishnavas as you can. Do what you know makes the Vaishnavas happy. And be happy.
Jai Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj ki Jai.
Ami
Jai.
Ashti Govinda Govinda. Dandavat, dear ones, we'll see you all soon. Hare Krishna.